Welcome to another episode of Dissection of Violence with your host, Wolf of Villainy. In this episode, we're gonna go over Philadelphia Fusion's defense against NYXL in their fourth map, which is Dorado. I'll be going mainly about how Philadelphia Fusion's positioning and the way they play the maps help them to basically achieve a 5 minute defense versus a very potent offense in NYXL. Okay, so let's take a look at the first team fight up Dorado B. For first, let's take a look at the positioning of Philadelphia Fusion. You have Poco here, you have Fraggy here, basically acting as a very solid front line for Philadelphia Fusion. They're gonna group up in the top courthouse, which is a very common place for defense to start to group up first before they start any engagement. The card at the moment is still haven't passed the ban yet at this moment in time. So right now they're just pretty much taking their times in order to regroup and fortify their positioning first before anything. You have Neptuno right in the middle here, where he can safely heal the tank line, but also at the same time he can fly back to Boombox, which is all the way over here. Also, this positioning also kind of helps because like I mentioned earlier, if the card is going to the first man, that's where the defense tend to fight. So if Boombox and Neptuno can safely coming back here, they have a lot of sideline in order to suppressive fire as well as healing the front line as well as the DPS. So as far as positioning goes, this is pretty much textbooks Dorado defense. In here though, let's take a look at the attack from NYXL.
Some Zenyatta's, crack the 10k mark in healing for games.
Okay, so if you notice here, they decided to commit the Diva Bomb. You have CBOB popping here. You have Liberal coming in. You have Janus coming in. For a team that is so-called defensive, they are commit quite a bit personnel into here. Right now though, they only have commit one alt, but at the same time they still have Liberal out, they still have Jejona out, they still have Janus and Sabiobi out. So it seems like the Diva Bomb here is very much a move to try to create space so that potentially Janus, Sabiobi, or Liberal can follow up. Right now, though, the Diva Bomb is mainly just a zoning out, so I'm guessing they are trying to see if anyone from Fusion is gonna react negatively to the bomb, and then they're gonna try to hop in and frag that person. But at this moment, though, it seems like Fusion is kind of safe in here. You have Boombox away in the back here. Very much that's very much undiveable. You have Neptuno here, who is hiding in here, safe from the potential Diva Bomb, and he can always fly back to Boombox. You have Poco and Fraggy, just kind of like can easily get outside bomb, and also obviously Carpe can just triple dash out of it. So it doesn't seem like this bomb is going to do anything outside of zoning. But let's continue on.
The Jonak doesn't really get that much healing on the
Okay, so you have Sabiobi there, mess up his triple blink somehow, so that he fall. You have Liberal commit his dash in to the back toward Boombox. So this attack seems to be a little bit already on his way to failure.
It's really all about that extra damage being dealt.
So yeah, right when he dashed in, he couldn't get the dash because he couldn't even get close enough because Boombox basically decreases, basically nearly frag him to death there. So right, so now he had to back up, and also in the meantime though, because both the DPS up um, NYXL is overcoming over here. Um, right now, Philadelphia Fusion's tank line is going to come down here to try contest, and also J Jonak and Mako is kind of like playing in this very dangerous corner where there's not a lot of space for them to escape. So this it is going to be interesting to see how NYXL are going to respond to Philadelphia Fusion committing here.
Libero does cop away with orb.
Ooh,
Shadowburn
Shadowburn.
there as soon as he sees a low health player.
So Shadowburn dash, kill Sibiri, kill Libero. Bubble coming in, and now they probably demake Mako. No, but they kill Arc anyway. So that's a very successful defense team fight from Philadelphia Fusion. They took advantage. They and also if you notice they only use Carpe's bomb, but with that team fight, they're gonna have at least like 4 outs up here. NYXL they also gonna stay have 4 outs up here, but because NYXL messed up that attack with 2 of the DPS, couldn't commit back into the back line. So right now, but in terms of like power level and out level, both teams are gonna be on the in the same place, which is actually not bad because now, at least for Philadelphia Fusion, because now they can fortify their positioning a little bit as well, have enough ult in the bank so that they can defend themselves from whatever attack NYXL is going to take. Okay, so now this is already a second team fight. You have now NYXL just kind of like pushing the card, poking a little bit. They're just gonna try to get as much poke damage in, as well as getting some information on the position of Philadelphia Fusion. One thing I want to touch on is NYXL, even though they are so-called a defensive team, in my opinion anyway, what they tend to do is that they actually took more time than usual to actually do a lot of poking and do a lot of surveying before they commit into any attack plan, because NYXL, I think their playstyle is very much based around taking advantage of the enemy's mistake rather than trying to force a certain approach or a certain attack just because. As you can see earlier, the initial attack where they tried to take initiative, that didn't went very well, I think, because I have a sneaking suspicion that they was a little bit over optimistic on the chance of making a successful attack, as well as Philadelphia Fusion's very good positional defense. Now in this sequence, now they're gonna try to push the card a little bit. So let's see what they does. Do pay attention to how Poco and Fraggy is doing though. One of the unsung hero of this map, I think, is gonna be is Poco and Fraggy's interplay as a tank, because I think because they actually did quite a good job of rotating their help so that they can simultaneously contest the card, but at the same time not putting either of them in danger, and they always in the position where their backline can help them. So let's continue with the clip. Poking here, you have Poco jumping down, Fraggy's still up there, not using any cooldown yet. And then you have Janus poking a little bit, now we drop. If you notice there, one of the benefit of using high ground, especially as Winston, because when you drop down here, it's a free action. You don't take any damage. There's no cooldown that being used. So he dropped down here, like, and then I think when he dropped down, he realized that Mako and everyone was kind of waiting for him to drop down so that they can try to frag him, and he is already on half health. So immediately he already has cooldown, so he just jumped back right over here where Neptuno can heal him. as well as for the fact that he still has his bubble cooldown up, so he can afford to stay in here a little bit, being unharmed, and also they still Poco is, I think, is still kind of like playing around this area, playing up and down this area where he is still contesting the card, where he's still contesting the card. And the NYXL's tendency to poke and waiting for the mistake of the enemy is costing them a little bit here, I think, because they are trying their best to see if there's any mistake in the line, but Fusion is not giving them anything to work with.
Well, prior. Frankie's
So
already
now
pulling back, so
Libero.
there is someone in the back line. I'd say that's probably Carpe as per usual with the
So as
half
you can
score.
see here, the poking phase have been going on for like nearly 20 seconds. Usually a team fight. Can take somewhere like around 10 seconds to 30 or even a minute, depending on how sloppy it is and the position of the spawn. But as you can see here, like the clock already at 3:33, and the poking phase have been drawing out for quite long. Both team are very much just content trying to see the mistake between each other, and see, and no one is going to commit just yet.
Pressure.
Okay.
Libero. Definitely not.
So here's an interesting position here. You have Libero coming in here. You have Arc coming in there. You have J Jonas also coming in here, and you still have Mako coming over here. This positioning, I think it's very interesting because as an attack team, you do want to push the card up, but at this point, Fusion, Fraggy, and Poco's very much stalling the card here. So what I think NYXL is doing is that they intentionally back themselves into a close and tramp space, but they have at least like 4 outs up here, where these four out are very effective within a tight closed spaces. So I think what they are trying to do here is that they are trying to bait Fusion into committing a team fight inside the chapel, or rather the courthouse, so that they can later on like counter out right after. So let's see how it goes. So Poco still contesting the card. He's very low, so he's gonna drop off. Yeah, and then here you have Shadowburn decided to commit this alchemy, which is immediately countered by the trance. Okay, so in this same part right here, this is gonna be weird because you have all of NYXL stuff themselves into this corner. They come Fusion. I think this is a little bit lack of discipline coming out Fusion over here. You have Carpe commit his post one, you have Shadowburn commit his play, you have Poco commit his self-destruct in the middle, and you have Boombox having to counter trance because NYXL use a counter trance. But at the same time though, NYXL use Janus out, they use J Jonah out, so they only use 2 out over here, and because they only use 2 out, and Fusion use up to 4 out, and right now like it's still the tray is there's no tray yet. There's no tray between either team yet. So at the start of this same part right here, Philadelphia Fusion is already investing quite a lot more than NYXL, and with Boombox out of the way, Libero can suddenly just can just literally use his blade. So this is gonna be interesting. But for the Fusion, Barbie should have a little bit more discipline.
Going on, Matt. Double transcendence being committed to this fight, and both mercies are ready to go. So this might be every.
Frankie tried to jump in with Shadowburn, but they are getting pushed back. Obviously he died, and then Libero commits his play over here. Kill Neptuno, kill Boombox. Yep. Or according to Keikaku, don't know how to spell really, but yeah, that team fight was really costly for Fusion because they commit a lot of out into it, but they are losing it. On the bright side though, because of the way they stall the card, which is around here, or even around here, I think. They're gonna be able to at least have a team fight right before the check mark, because obviously the ease of the spawn, and then also for the fact that Fraggy have his Winston's out up, so he can suddenly stall for at least a few more seconds before reinforce coming in. But and also I'm not quite sure what happened, but Ark used his Valkyrie and Neptuno have his Valkyrie, so so Fusion only have one chance to recontest this, but they have a very good chance to recontest this. So let's continue.
For New York, and then Chino's going to be gripped with the realization that perhaps him dying to the Dragon Blade there may have lost the Fusion this match. Well, Fraggy would.
And if you and disregarding Uber's commentary there, because Neptuno die by the liberal blaze actually works in Fusion favors, as I just described it.
Primal Rage should be able to get out here. The cart getting so close, needs to go soon. There comes
Fraggy jumping in. Okay, you have Saviour's flank over here. You got the post bomb, but there's the Valkyrie's up. So that post bomb kind of become useless. And now, if you notice here, at the moment the team fight is going on around in this area. You have Poco just kill Liberal, but Neptune and so we just kill Boombo because he got instantly res. So at this moment, the longer Sabiobi is back here, the more detrimental for his team. I think because as Tracer, you are one of the most consistent source of DPS in the team. So you need to. So if you cannot get good value out of your flank, you need to be with your team to help. And at this moment, the more second that he is spending kind of playing around here, the easier it is for Philadelphia Fusion to just completely press the advantages, strike into the card, and win the team fight because of that.
They need this in the fight, but Sabiobi, patient as always, waiting for Boombox again to make a mistake, but it's a couple of balls sent back to Sabiobi that makes it
so
again.
To back out a little bit. Jijonek uses trans, but Janus gets stuck with a post bomb anyway, so that didn't really matter. Carpe kill Jijonek. Well, Carpe kill Arc, Shadowrun kill Jijonek. So now this fight is lost. And during the whole team fight, Sabiobi wasn't doing anything particularly meaningful. Like the post bomb was good, but then it got instantly erased anyway, so it didn't really help. So now this is where I feel Fusion is going to re-establish the defense here. Okay, so now we just finished that team fight, and we're in preparation for the next one. I want to touch a little bit on the positioning of Fusion in this map. You have Boombox kind of playing over there. You have Neptuno kind of play over here. Poco and Fraggy kind of playing around this area. And you have Carpe and Shadowburn just kind of like patrolling this area as well. Now, this map, or at least this part of Dorado, is actually one of the harder places to penetrate for offense, because there's a couple reasons. The first reason is obviously because the spawn from Philadelphia Fusion's the spawn all the way to where the team fight ideally is going to take place is obviously shorter than NYXL. So NYXL at this point, they need to win a team fight where their trade ratio is about 4 to 1. So they need to kill at least four people from Philly, and then maybe just only lost like one in order to actually have a chance to push the card. otherwise, if they are going trading evenly, like 2-2, 1-1, or whatever, the position over here means that Philly is always gonna have an advantages. And also another thing about this part of the map is the dual high ground. This dual high ground here is very Numbani-esque in a sense that it allow the defense a lot of flexibility when it comes to rotation as well as positioning. With Mercy, Mercy can fly between like these two high ground to stay safe. Boombox on the other hand might be a little bit less fortunate because obviously he doesn't have any movement ability, but he can stay as far back all the way over here, or as far back from all the way over here, or as even far back from all the way over here, where the offense, depending on where it goes, gonna have to actually commit quite a bit in order to actually make a successful dive toward him. And as we saw earlier in the first team fight, correct positioning, just by having correct positioning alone would help a lot when it comes to survivability. And also, if you kind of notice here, NYXL right now, after the initial like 5 minutes, after like 2 team fight, they only managed to push the car only near here. And right now at 1 minute 50 seconds, they can only realistically have 2 to 3 meaningful team fight left to actually push this little itty bitty part right here. 2 or 3 team fight, not impossible, but at this point the deck is certainly stacked in favor of Fusion. But let's continue.
Destruct. They're gonna go again. I mean, look at this. You know,
Yeah,
we
they
get the
actually-
Jonas to drop on the payload.
So as you can see here, you
Now
have
the primal
Janus kind of
rage.
like poking in, using his I think he was jumping in. He popped his Winston off, but then you have like at least like 3 fusion players just coming back and try to peel for Boombox at the back. So Janus decided to just kind of drop down here and try to contest the card a little bit. This is gonna be a 300 IQ play coming out of
This is
Shadowburn.
actually giving me flashbacks to what Fraggy was attempting last round, except
Okay, if you
a lot less bear traps in
notice here, you have there's Mako coming down here to help his tank. You have Janus just kind of like rambling around on the card, and you have Sabiobi, you have Jitona, and you have Art kind of like sitting in this corner right here, and Shadowburns is actively spamming Shuriken at them. I think what happened here is that when NYXL tried counting their ult and counting Philadelphia Fusion ult, they realized that Shadowburn have his blades up, and NYXL doesn't have any defensive ult that could realistically help with the blade. So at this point, with Shadowburn looking at them and spamming a lot of Shuriken in its size, it actually hold them off in this little corner where they can't necessarily advance, because they know that if they peek to the range where Shadowburn can come in for a dash, they're gonna be dead. That's just simply going with it. And also for the fact that with that tank coming around the side and only Liberal there to have, and or super or the backline over here, that means that their front line won't have the healing or the DPS from Jijonek that they needed in order to actually win the team fight. And obviously with the defensive positioning the Fear Fusion is having, they're gonna have a lot better sustain. So.
the mix. I think it's safe to say. And Shadowburn poking with his shurikens
Jerome
has found his
poking,
targets and
almost
done
died
damage. He
there.
needs to
You have
back
Mako
away.
jumping
Now
up,
the
trying
Diva
to
is
clear. Okay, so you have Libero, Janus kind of tugging around here with Pogo and Fraggy. And as you see here, you have Boombox. Immediately when he got pressured by Janus over here, I think he got booped up, and then he immediately just rotate around on the side. And like I said earlier, like if they want, since NYXL is coming all the way from this side, they're gonna have to actually commit a lot in order to dive on Boombox if they want to. And right now they are not in a position where they could do that. And also there's Neptuno on the back here healing Boombox, and he's gonna probably try to have Shadowburn, but I'm not sure. But yeah, at this point in time, um, Philadelphia Fusion is doing quite a good job in terms of stalling, which is what the defense wants to do in Overwatch, as well as for the fact that like NYXL is in really no position to attack. And as I said earlier, they are a team that wants to see a mistake in enemy positioning or enemies out usage or whatever before they want to truly commit.
Casting a little bit of that damage in his direction. He needs to respect, and Jonak is so safe up here.
Guy there. Okay, so Jijonek kill Carpe, which is why I think Boombox has to commit his trance, because you know that if in the situation where it's 5v6 like this, he needs to buy as much time as possible for his teammate, and with the trance here he can buy about like 5 seconds, and the spawn is gonna be 10 seconds. So if he shave off of that to 5, and then they survive for like say another 5 or 6 seconds, then Carpe would be already back, which is good for them. And at this point though, they're still in a decent position. Mako is already nearly demaking. Janus is not in his primal range anymore. So okay, so both Diva decided to use his ult here, kind of willy-nilly, I think. Okay. Neptuno, rest Carpe anyway. Yeah, I think the trance there was basically to try to buy Neptuno space so that he can come in, and rest Carpe, which is a pretty good out usage as far as it goes.
Space that they have created.
Ooh.
So
okay, so the different thing here kind of get poked down quite a little bit. I think I'm not quite sure where Liberal and Sibiobi is, but if you notice earlier, like R have to flying all the way into here to try to heal for butter tanks, and Fraggy noticed that, and because Jonah got pushed all the way on the back here due to the Diva bomb, so R didn't necessarily have the exit that he had, so that's why he got killed with Fraggy. So now so with the NYXL losing the Mercy and now losing their Genji, is they need to back off. Okay, Janus kill Shadowburn here, but obviously defensive positioning is still favoring Fusion. Okay, so they kill Boombox, but Carpe killed Jejona back. Fraggy had to use it out there, which is unfortunate. But I think this is probably what they wanted to do. I mean, NYSL probably want to drag out teamfight so much, a little bit more, so that they can see if they can get Fusion to use any of their ult, and Fraggy did. So this is gonna be interesting. But right now though, into the team fight, the Fusion still have the play, still have the pharmacy out, which is very good. At the same, but the NYXL though, they're gonna have at least 4 outs up. So right now, I think it's gonna the next team fight is gonna be 50-50. Because both teams have certain amount of advantages, and whether or not they're gonna use the advantages properly is ultimately up to them. Okay, so with this next team fight, I want to highlight some again the defensive positioning of Fusion. They're gonna have Fraggy here. They're gonna have Carpe here. And Poco just hanging around here trying to contest the card. So they're gonna essentially contest this area here, while Poco at the same time can fly up to here to help example, as well as being close enough so that he can contest the card. You have Neptuno kind of like floating around here, can suddenly fly back to Boombox. Boombox always stuffing over here where he can just drop back here or drop back here to create safety by himself. In comparison though, In Overwatch, usually a map have a very limited setup angle to attack, depending on where you want the team fight goes. Usually in the street phase, you can attack to mid. You can attack all the way to the left, left over here, where you can obviously attacking all the way to the mid again. Um, and then you can also have a bit of flank route all the way over here, or even all the way to the back. Or if you can even certainly like do a very long flank over here. But at this moment, with the positioning that Fusion is having, they don't have very much choice in terms of attack route. They probably gonna have to use a very explicit route in going on mid here or just going on here, because all the other attack route are either taking too long to set up, or they are just too far for them to actually use that route. And with the time being only at 37 seconds, they only have one chance of actually attacking. If they can't attack, they're gonna be fucked. Okay, let's see here. You have Libero poking up in here, and then obviously you already have Fraggy and a bunch of them kind of like coming up in here. At this phase is very much again poking phase. Ooh, you have Libero getting pressure over here, and if you notice, immediately when Fraggy jumped down, he pressured a little bit. He see Miko here trying to peel for his support. He immediately jumped back. So again he is doing a very good job of tanking meaningful damages, build any defensive all. Probably just let Boombox heals a little bit more instead of Neptuno, and also at the same time they buying up time because that's already like 5 to 6 seconds left, and with the time window will only allow like one more team fight left. This is gonna be very rough. Point Y7 anyway. So they decided to go here. Ooh, probably almost died. Ooh, okay, so Fraggy kind of overcommit himself there a little bit without Poco pocketing him, but at the same time, Shadowburn killed Jangus anyway, so it's very much a tray. Ooh, so both Mercy decided to use the ult there. Oh, okay. Ooh, okay, I think Libero kind of fucked up in here. They both the team trade their main tank. Neptuno decided to pop his ult to res Fergie up. Arc did the same, and Libero kind of I think he was really waiting for this moment so that he can use the blade to actually kill Neptuno as soon back. But I think he either misjudged his blade or Neptuno was being a very good mercy. Whatever the reason, his blade didn't get the value it needed. But at the same time, Shadowburn immediately blade him on top of blade him mid-air, and Libero with him eliminated like that. It's very unfortunate because one out is already out of the question. So let's continue with the clip. Okay, Shadowburn also demake Mako, which is huge because now Janus doesn't have any DM to help with him. Arc used his trans, probably a little bit too late. But Libero's gonna be brought back into the fight once again. All the mercies have gone through their reses, and Saviobi needs the Hail Mary. Poco uses Diva Bomb to nothing. But Carpe kill Mako and Poco kill Libero, and now Boombox decided to commit his ult to make sure that the team fight is going to be a win for them. Janus uses ult here, but it's very bad. Yep, and YXL ultimately lost that match. Now, what do I think happen here? I think a lot of it have to come down to NYXL being a little bit too passive with their approach. One of the thing I think is overlooked in Philadelphia Fusion's playstyle is that Fraggy and Poco actually did a wonderful job in terms of tanking damage, as well as rotating their tank so that they actually can take poke well, uh, as well as still staying alive, so that their front line serve as a solid barriers and a deterrent for deterrent against any advance from NYXL. Um, Carpe and Shadowburn got a lot of credit here for some of their clutch play, and I certainly think that they did their fair share of work. But without Froggy and Poco, the tanking job, I don't think they would be able to have a 5 minute defense here. In NYXL's part, I think one of the things that to consider as well is that like their out management is a little bit crap, because at one point in the game, they could have easily like they won the team fight here. They could have easily snowballed the fight and then win here, but they commit a little bit too much, so that they couldn't snowball the point successfully, and it cost them quite a bit of time and progress. And even though like they had 5 minutes to going from all the way over here to going all the way over here, realistically they only have one team fight here, one team fight here, one team fight here, one team fight here, maybe another team fight here, and another team fight here, and another team fight here. So for 5 solid minutes, they only have about like five team fight. When with 5 minutes, I think with efficient like retreat as well as efficient planning, you can actually get up to like 6 or 7 team fight. But the fact that like NYXL took quite a bit too long to actually start a team fight, as well as coming to it, was ultimately the downfall in this map. And also for the fact that like Philadelphia Fusion positioning was absolutely stellar. The map control was also very good, which means that NYXL couldn't see any potential hole where they can fully commit in. And for a team that is very much playing in a so-called defensive style, they need those holes in order to actually doing anything meaningful. And Philadelphia Fusion wasn't going to give them any of them. So that's my thoughts on this map. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I will see you guys later on another episode of Dissection of Violence. Feel free to leave any comment, any feedback you guys have about my VAR review, and I'll see you guys later on the next episode. See ya.